Hey guys, my name is Abena Rockcliffe and welcome to another episode of Frank Discussions. So, tonight we have some good news and bad news. I'll give you the bad news first. The bad news is Kimal is on vacation, so I'm your only host tonight. But the good news is we have one of the most beloved ministers of government with us here for a sit down, and we're hoping that we can get some insights into her probably never before seen. Probably only her close people know the Priya Manickchand that we're getting to know tonight. So, welcome, Minister Manickchand. Thank you for taking the time here with us. We can get right into it. Yes.
Yeah,
All right, great.
a little nervous about your introduction there, but yeah. Thanks for the invite. Like I said, this was a Joel Simpson's. Easier to say yes, I'll do it, rather than to have him pester you
Yes,
all the
thank God
time.
for him.
Yeah,
So, the Ministry of Local Government, as we know, is the closest tier of central government to the people. So it would make sense why they will put a people person like you there. However, in your initial appointment, we saw the outpour on social media. Most people are upset that they move you from your baby education. Did you expect that kind of outpour in your reallocation?
that's a good question. No, no, not because I didn't. So we did so much at education that you don't even know about, or that is now unfolding. For example, getting worksheets out. I saw the other day they were getting worksheets out at school that had to close. We didn't have worksheets 5 years ago, for every grade, every class, every subject, and so on. So, a lot of work went into building out a resilient system, not just a system and running along, but because of COVID, and even coming out of COVID was so hard. But the reason I wouldn't have expected the outpouring of affection and good thoughts, which I'm very appreciative of, is because I used to get cussed a lot too, right? So
Yeah,
I think,
well,
and a lot, because I've never taken it personally, because I think education is so important to everyone, and people see hope in their children through education. That for every criticism, if it were true, for every criticism, we'd run it down, make sure that it wasn't true. If it were true, we'd fix it, and if it wasn't true, I'd cuss back. So I'd say this isn't true. Stop posting stupidness.
okay. And the very night at State House when you were reallocated, Kiana, who was with us at that time, I think she had the first interview since your new appointment. And in that interview, you said, well, I'm not at education, but now I will have oversight over education, health, agri, and all these things. Yet the first move we saw, that official move, was you going on the ground at a school, getting things done. Education will always be a baby.
Well, I think, it's a collaborative effort. All the ministries have to work and work collaboratively, whether it's education, health, wherever. I mean, Frank sent me some information this morning about a health center in a region, and we had to sort that out together. Sonia has spoken to me about education things on the ground that we have to figure out together too, because the intention of the legislation, that decentralized government, was, I think, to do just that, decentralize. But those things sound really good on paper. You have to work collaboratively to get it all done, and to make sure people are feeling the government's policies. So you'll see me in schools, you'll see me in health centers, you'll see me at garbage dump sites, you'll see me on a bridge, you'll see me talking to NDCs and RDCs, and these are the people who are the first stop for residents in various villages. You'll see me at an old age pension place because we want to get it right. But that doesn't mean you'll also see all the other ministers at
Of
all
course.
those other places. And that's not really different
Okay.
from how it used
I
to be.
know you have the propensity to promote the government, but in your new ministry, can you be candid and tell me what is the greatest need you see so far? Where's the disconnect?
I think the ministry deals with a lot of people. So you have 7 to NDCs. not neighborhood democratic councils. On each of those, you have a chair, a vice chair, an overseer, and X number of counselors, depending on the largeness of the community. Then you have help desk people, and you have pathway or SIP workers, or then you have regional democratic councils. So when you have a lot of people in any organization, you'll have some who are excellent. You'll have some who are loving and passionate about what they do. You'll have some who aren't really sure what their job is, and you'll have some who are delinquents. And so the effort is to make sure everybody's on the same page about what the government's trajectory is, what it is we've promised the nation, and how are we going to deliver that through these local bodies. What's the biggest disconnect, I think, doesn't come from anything done or not done by a particular ministry or by a particular period. When the country decentralized in 1980, we were a very different economy, very different way of serving, very different resources that we had. Now that we are here, I think it's a good time for us to examine as a nation, as a cabinet, what's the way forward with a view to being effective in our service delivery, not with a view to deciding whose responsibility it is to do X or Y or Z. But what we all want to do is be effective in delivering service. So how do we do that in this new Guyana that we're building out? When we have legislation that we haven't really implemented the way I think it was meant to be implemented for a long time. So our habits will have to change in terms of how we collaborate, what the ministry does, who does it, when it does it, how it interacts with other ministries, and other ministries have human beings too. So it's a whole culture change. So if you're talking about, it's not a specific issue, it's more a process on the way forward that sees us delivering service effectively. That's I think gonna be a little bit of we gotta figure out how we're doing that as a country, and then implement and change some attitudes around.
Do you foresee a problem? In the beginning of this interview, you said when you get to your cousin, you would check it out, see what it is. If it's true, deal with it. If it's not true, you cuss back.
Yeah.
But now a lot of your work and your deliverables might depend on other ministries.
Yeah.
How will Priya cope with that?
So that's what I'm saying. I think we all have to, as a country. It's not. I don't think it's a ministry or a person. I think we're at a good place in the country where all of us should engage in what kind of country we want to build out.
Okay.
Do we want to build out a country where Abena pelts her KFC box through the window or Wendy's box through the window and she's finished or halfway through her bus drive, or stops and zips down your pants and pees at the side of the road? I mean, do we want that country? I am with young people a lot because I have young kids. Well, teenagers. One about to be and one already is. And this generation is ready for a different Guyana. And I'd like to have us collectively deliver that different Guyana. This generation wants a clean, orderly Guyana where they could say, we don't have to go to a foreign country to enjoy the beauty of knowing we're saving the earth by recycling, or not causing climate change through excessive deforestation. Right. Generation that we're talking about now is very, very aware of some of these issues, and I'm really proud of them, very pleased to see it. But we have a cultural change that we have to introduce.
Okay.
While there are some people who are going to scorn you throwing your KFC box out, there is someone throwing their KFC box out. So how do we make sure that person understands that this harms you and all of us? And if you're not going to stop, then we're going to have to find ways. Collective society will have to find ways to change out this kind of behavior that's antisocial.
Okay, so if we're not going to get that cultural change, you have the power now. You can put in ordinances.
Yeah, so cultural change will come about from several things. Education, talking to people about, and mass PR campaigns and so on, with your help, of course. talking to people about why they shouldn't do certain things, why they should do certain things. Why should you recycle? How is that saving the earth? What are you doing in your little world at home when you recycle? Why should you not litter? Why? So education,
Yes.
a lot of education. Why you should be fully engaged at the NDC level or in your political your country's national political life and so on. Education. Then that's how culture changes. Then enforcement of regulations that came about from various consultations where people say they want a different kind of country. Enforcement might mean enforcing laws that will bring about change. So that's usually how we force change through softer things like education, PR campaigns, and informing people, but also for the people who insist on being delinquent, you know, using laws, using regulations to say,
So you
well,
think we have enough regulations in place
no,
to
I think we have
use?
to look at some of those.
Okay.
We have to look at some of those. I mean, if you build a vending shack or about to on a parapet, that's going to do several things: block up the drainage, make the place ugly, breed diseases through things like mosquitoes and so on. The notices and times and so on that you have to give people for doing something to stop them from doing something illegal, some of those have to change if we're to be able to address those issues quickly.
Okay.
But we never change laws without full consultation, right?
Of course, of course. Who starts a big campaign nearing the end of a budgetary cycle? And where did you get that money? I saw the declutter campaign, and this is weeks after you've gone into a new ministry. How are you
So
able
the
to do that?
purpose of that is people have all this junk in their yard, like a lot of junk, mattresses and fridge and stove. And
I have some.
I
hope you
have
come to
plenty. I have a
Queenstown
lot in
soon.
my house, not in my yard. But you have a choice. Do I save up for my child's Christmas party and their Christmas presents, or do I spend this money on a truck to dispose of these items? So sometimes families have to make those choices. So we were trying to be helpful. The other thing that I wanted to avoid is if we don't move it, it's going to end up on a parapet somewhere. So let's help declutter. And so we started out in Newtown Kitty. We're currently in Sophia. We thought Sophia would take us 3 days. It's been like almost a week and a half now. We haven't finished there. On the east bank of Demerara, all the NDCs are going to be doing this in their NDC areas. In the Essequibo coast, all the NDCs are going to be doing this. In fact, across the country, we're going to be doing this. We've already had all the health centers, hospitals, and so throw out all their junk. Some of it has been in there for 15 and 17 years, cluttering up the place. All schools have thrown out their junk, except for schools in Georgetown. They have been calling now, but we didn't have jurisdiction over them. We're working with the Ministry of Education to do that. Right now, regional democratic councils are going to be throwing out their junk. We had to stagger it for several reasons. One, there's a limited number of transportation available within the regions. So if health education in the region was doing it at the same time, we won't have trucks to use.
Oh, so you use your own assets?
Yeah.
Oh, because I wanted to know where she got that money from at the end of a budgetary cycle.
We rented for some places in Georgetown, but in the regions they're using their own assets.
Okay.
But you also have another issue is they have limited numbers of auditors, and it has to go through an audit process because we don't want people throwing out as junk things that are not junk, and so they had to be audited. And
Like
so,
what? Like
I don't know, maybe I don't think people would do that, but we don't want you throwing away a good fridge and it didn't get really thrown away. It just got
okay.
you know.
Guyanese in about their life. Okay, so you're coming to Queenstown too, right?
Yes.
Oh, great. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
All right. Are you eyeing any new laws?
We have to look at what we have. We have to look at we've amended laws over the years and by we I mean as a country. So it happened under several different governments. Amended laws in such a hodgepodge kind of manner that some of it is all over the place. And we have not moved past what we knew to what the world has now learned in terms of how to manage waste, like recycling and so on. So we don't have laws on some issues. We have, or we have very outdated laws. So yeah, an entire relook at what the legal infrastructure looks like that the ministry can function under, or that NDCs and RDCs can function under.
So if we want to start recycling, like the actual recycle bins and stuff, we have to get laws for that?
Well, it depends on how you want to do it. If it's just a soft approach and we ask people to do it right, then no, you don't need laws.
Okay.
But if we're going to have to enforce anything, then you will need laws. But I don't think we have to wait on laws
Okay.
to do that.
Is zoning on the cards?
Yes. Yes. We want neighborhoods and communities to be happy, wholesome, healthy places that citizens feel safe in, and happy in, and we want more order in the country. So if you look at the Ministry of Housing, they have residential neighborhoods and they have industrial sites.
Yes.
And it's deliberately done that way, like in most other countries. So you can't have, but at the same time, we're sensitive to the fact that people have established themselves as entrepreneurs where their main and sometimes only source of income is through an activity that is being done in an area where it shouldn't be done. So we will be sensitive to those kinds of things.
Okay.
For example, you have a spray shop where a spray shop shouldn't be.
Yes.
How do we make sure that we don't take this person's business away from them, even as we address the complaints of the community members who say we don't want a spray shop here?
Right.
So those are some of the things you have to look at.
I see you've been imposing your style on these people when you meet them, which is service oriented. That's all you've been saying. Yes, you have.
Very gentle.
You've been drilling it in. Service. You have to have service to the people. I've seen many interviews to this effect. Well, not the interviews. Shayna works, so I see clips from all their meetings and consultations. Do you think that might be the key toward making the change that you want to see?
I think the local government bodies have to work. By work, I mean not do work, but they have to function. They must be the first stop for a resident who needs service, whatever that service is, whether it's their old age pension or how to apply for NIS or to extend their home or build a new home without having to go through 500 processes. They should be able to make a single stop at the single window system that housing has put in place. They should be able to speak about their local issues and get resolution, noise nuisance or garbage collection or, those kinds of things. Has it worked the way it can work over the years? I don't think so. And I don't think that's as a result of people not wanting to work. It may have been people being uncertain of what they could do and can't do. So I'm just trying to meet all 70 NDCs, all 10 municipalities, all 10 RDCs, Regional Democratic Councils, to say, this is your role. This is what you're supposed to do. These are your parameters. This is what I'd like to see service from your NDC looking like, your RDC, your municipality. These are the things you're supposed to do. So people have more direction. And also, we're telling community members where they can make stops. We're also funding it differently too, right? So each NDC is now getting $30 million, and that's going to go up. $30 million to do work within your neighborhood, neighborhood. And some of these neighborhoods are small and some are large. And then you have, I don't impose, but I'd like to see a service-oriented, efficient, kind, responsive local government bodies across the country. And I think people are also demanding that and expecting it. So that's what I say to these bodies when I meet them that it's a different Guyana. People are going to either vote for you the next local government election or not. And the issue is not about whether they do vote for you. If you're going to get up every day and go to work and do this thing, let's do it properly. And I haven't had any pushback or anyone saying, well, we don't want to, or
So
we.
who's going to tell you, well, oh, I don't want it to function in the way I should?
Yeah, well, I also think the pulling together is good. We're one team. This is the way this team functions. You've seen me work for the last 20 years. You know me. Let's work like that in every NDC. And I think people have left those meetings. I feel like they have, because I now have everybody on various groups and so on, have left those meetings feeling like they have new
Re-energized?
direction.
Okay.
Yeah, like you have new direction, you're re-energized, you got some guidance on specific issues that we want done.
Okay.
And purpose, like new purpose. I think it could be hard sometimes for local bodies to collaborate with mother ministries. So they have a couple of things people have complained about. For example, they might say a road is being built and we don't know who's building it, we don't know what the specs are.
Okay.
This is the NDC. So that's something we have to fix from central government to say that anybody who's going into a community to do work, you now have to share the BOQ. So we're drafting that out. And the scope of the work with these 20 people. It must be posted here. It must be shared with the NDC. It must be shared with the RDC. You have to have a relationship with these bodies. So it's not just the fault of the local government bodies. I just don't think we had gelled together the reason that they exist.
Okay.
But we're in a new Guyana. Guyana is growing very quickly. Guyana is moving.
So you have much faith in this new Guyana?
I do. I have much faith in people. I think people generally like order and are decent and good.
Okay.
We have delinquents amongst us, but people generally want that order. And when you start showing them a direction, like the Pied Piper, well, here is what we can do together, then we can get it done.
Okay.
And those people who don't want to do it, and they get left behind either because they're obstructionists or they're just sad sacks or negative pessimists. Eventually, when they realize, oh, this is happening, they get on board. I saw that across ministries.
Okay. You're basically a conduit ministry. As you said just now, you have to relay a lot. When you go on the ground, you meet with people, you have to go back to public works or health or agri. How's that been working out for you?
I think
Like strong relations with your colleagues?
I do, but I also think it's not about the ministers alone. It's about systems. So you could have the strongest relationship amongst ministers, and we do. We're a cabinet that get along with each other. But a system must be in place. The whole effort is to build out systems. If we say once a road is going to be built, or once a school is going to be built, or once NARI is going to build an office, or a health center is going to go down, and these are the 20 people or bodies that must receive the BOQ, must be at the meeting, must be informed of this, then that's a system that doesn't rely on Priya getting along with Edgil and Frank, or vice versa. It's a system that we've put in place. And it doesn't mean the NDC doesn't have to know me personally to be able to get this, or know another minister. This is now systemic. This is now, it's going to work effectively because you now know that, and then a lot of monitoring and so on can happen there. So a lot of help, a lot of good can come out of that. So I think it's building out stronger systems, all with the paramount consideration being in service to people. If we're going to build a road, clearly we want these people to have a road in this particular village. And we saw a need, or we were told by these villagers of this need. So they must know that a road is coming. They must know who the contractor is. They must know what the BOQs are. They must be able to hold the contractor and the ministries responsible. They must be able to, this is a number you can contact if you see that we're supposed to have 5 wheelbarrows of sand and this man only throw 3. So it's just building out new systems. I think that will change some of what might not be working right now.
By the time this episode airs, we would have seen the life of the new parliament, the 13th parliament. Tell me a bit about your hope versus your expectation in this new dispensation.
I can't imagine that anyone would run for office if they don't have the interest of people at heart. But that's always been my view. The last two parliaments were, well, the last National Assembly is very disappointing to me. Very, very disappointing. It was very caliber of representation was low from the opposition benches. And while that might be something an opposition party in government would celebrate because it makes it a lot
Easier.
easier.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot easier for you. It's disappointing to watch representatives of people at a national level present such low caliber representation through their speech, through their content, through the understanding of issues. I've seen people come to the National Assembly without reading a single piece of, single page in this legislation to come and make this presentation about something else that they have going on. The ethnicity and the dog whistling on ethnicity was rank, I found. You'd have a parliament going and they'd have two people from the opposition benches in the parliament still.
I've seen that.
You know, and I'd have to give her a shout out. Annette Ferguson was always somebody who stayed in the National Assembly to the end, disagreeing fully and robustly, but stayed to the end.
Yes.
So you have to have, I'd like to, so you asked me about my hopes and my expectations. I hope that we see robust representation that is constructive. Talking about what somebody wears or who hair color and look nice is really shallow and stupid.
Yes.
And it's beneath our country, and it's disrespectful to the people who expect us to do more there. And so I truly hope we'll see a higher caliber representation.
But what do you expect?
Because there are so many returnees, they'd have to have a change out in their psyche
Okay.
for my hopes to be realized. But let's see. I'm a hopeful
see.
person.
So I promised the viewers a little insight into Priya. So let's go there. You're forever a lawyer. When there was a break in government, you went back to your practice and then came back to government after the change. So you're a lawyer and you're Priya, the minister, the politician. And these two fields are known to be two of the most ruthless fields. You have to make tough decisions daily to survive. And yet we've seen you maintain a soft side. I saw a clip the other day. You refused to get a tattoo because you want to make sure you can give blood. You always have some advocacy. I witnessed firsthand in Parliament you intervene on behalf of a colleague on the other side of the House, which is not something politicians really do. They don't care about those on the other side. How have you been successful in law and politics and still maintain that soft side?
I think it's adversarial. I don't think you have to be ruthless. I think politicians would probably disagree with me. And I think, why are you doing it? So law is adversarial. There's always going to be a person on the other side, unless it's a non-contentious issue like an estate or a conveyance or something. But I don't think it has to be ruthless. And I don't think politics needs to be either. No. It depends on what you want. My interest is in doing what I'm doing at the current time. So I'm going to be serving in this ministry doing X, Y, and Z. This is my 100-day plan. This is my 1-year plan. This is my 3-year plan. This is my 5-year plan. This is what I want to get out of this. At the end of it, this is what I'd like to leave at the end of this time. And I don't think you have to be cruel to do that. I think you have to be focused. I think you have to be decisive. I think sometimes you're not even sure if the decisions you're making are absolutely right, but I'm more a person who makes decisions and then make them work. I don't think there's any value to being unkind and ruthless and brutal. I think that comes back to haunt you. And I've seen it time and again. People who are, they just seem less happy. So maybe selfish. I want to be happy, so I don't want to be brutal and ruthless. Yeah.
you seem to shine everywhere. So you were at Human Services first in 2006. You went to Human Services. You were a star there. Everything you said. People used to even say, "I'll call Priya on you if somebody's mistreating their child." Then you went to education. 2 times you served in the education ministry, and we see when you left that ministry what it was like. So you were a star there. Now you're in local government, and we're already seeing a difference in that ministry. So you are always the same Priya, but what it is that you know now in your career that you wish you knew back in 2006?
Well, I want to say something about all of those periods, though. In 2006, 26 to 2011, where I was serving under Bart Jagdeo presidency, he was very receptive to the changes that we made. So the at that ministry, every single manifesto promise was delivered and more. It was his promises because I wasn't a politician when the manifesto was made. I was helping out at Freedom House, whatever, but volunteering. But I wasn't a part of that crafting of the manifesto or the consultations that informed the manifesto. But what I used it as was a strategic plan. This is what we got to do. I remember having a wall of the things that we promised, and as we would do them, we would take them off. Okay. So he was very receptive to that. At the time, we were, I think we were still heavily indebted, poor country at that time. And we didn't have the kind of funding we have now for things. But the establishment of legal aids across the country, the establishment of the First Child Care and Protection Agency, the bringing forward, we used to pay the old age pensions by mid-year of the year it was due, starting that early. Minimum standards for orphanages, domestic violence policies, the Sex Offences Act, all those things, the children legislation that we brought in, I think it was like 7 pieces. Those are all things that were, not only was he receptive to them, he promoted them. So he allowed family court. I remember when I went with that paper, I was sweating because I was like, I really want this family court. And I know this is going to be expensive. And that's what I'm telling you, at that time was a very different time. The ministry would run out of money to pay phone bill and gas bills in September of the year. So I'm carrying a paper to build a family court for $200 million. That's a big deal. And he said, go ahead. And I said, with which part? And he said, well, all of it. And so we finished family court. So stuff like that. So I want to say that I've always had a receptive ear. Yeah. Same thing in education, both times.
Under Donald Ramatara.
Under President Ramatara, we were in minority government, so we had more challenges there. And under President Ali, he was also very receptive to the changes we want to make. We want to make sure every classroom has screens and smart screens. We want to make sure every child have the textbooks that they need, not just a textbook or some textbooks. We want to make sure we train as many teachers as possible. We want to make sure we bring in universal secondary education, that everybody can access primary and nursery education. We want to, expand technical vocational education across the country. He was very bought into all of those ideas because many of them also emerged from a manifesto that he had promised. So it's not, these things are never a one-person effort. That's not to say it's easy. You have to run it down because if you don't run it down, it doesn't happen. But I've worked with presidents who wanted these things.
So still, what is it that you know now that you wish, the technique that you wish you had back in 2006, anything change or you?
I think no.
Or do you just wish you had the same funding?
No, I'm glad we didn't because that brings a different experience.
Okay.
Not that I'm glad we didn't have funding, but I mean, going through a period where we didn't have funding to give every school child breakfast, and it was limited to the hinterland only. makes you really appreciative of the fact that we now can give everybody breakfast. And feverishly, you want to make sure everybody has a healthy, nutritious meal, because I know of a time when they couldn't. So I wouldn't change those learning experiences. There's a difference now. In 2006, I didn't have Facebook. You didn't either. I don't even remember if it was there. They had this one site called
High five.
blog. It was a blog, something about live Guyana live or something.
Right.
It was a blog. It wasn't Facebook, and so feedback and consultation and so on wasn't that easy. But it also allowed for a more authentic portrayal of, you had to go into communities, you have to work with communities. People had to know you not through what you told them, but through
Seeing you
their,
on the ground.
yes, and their interactions with you. And I'm really grateful I had that period. I think it has brought for me a different characteristic to service. It's very easy to have appearances on social media, and then at some point somebody will find out about you that you're not about one, that one is not what they appear to be. And so I learned in that period, not comparatively because we didn't have any social media, but I learned in that period that it was about groundwork. The groundwork is what would count. And I believe that still. So turning your questions, that's what I know and learned then that I would
Okay.
take forward with me forever.
And so that's why we're here now. Service, 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 service,
Yeah.
service, service.
If I'm going to get up and do this every day, because it's not easy,
They're going to call you the service minister.
I might as well make it count. Like, people's lives should change. That's my thing. If I can get up and put on these clothes and have to face the scrutiny that we have to face, and I think that's a good thing. Public officers should face scrutiny of the public they're sworn to serve. But it's also a harsh reality, right? You hear and look nice, you like this dress. How could you wear that expensive pair of sunglasses or some foolishness?
I think they said something about your bag at time.
Or a handbag that I've had for 7 or 10 years or something. Things that the scrutiny could be harsh. I wouldn't take it away because I believe that,
Keeps you accountable.
well, I think people have a right, almost a duty, to hold their service providers and leaders accountable, and to question and interrogate what they're doing and how they're doing it. I think that is not evenly distributed and balanced. I think women come in for a little bit more. Body wonders about a male colleague's hair or makeup or lipstick, but you might comment on mine. So we still have to get past some of those sexisms, right, and sexist behavior. So the point is, if I'm going to get up and do this every day, then it has to count. And for me, counting means it has to change some lives. It has to make people feel valued, change out how they live, bring new hope to families. And we saw that. We saw the children topping NGSA and CXE being from very humble backgrounds. But because we had given all the resources that only a private school child would have ordinarily had, you're now able to use these to bring yourself into the future, bring yourself equally onto the platform or the same platform with a child whose parents have money. So for me, it has to count. So that's why it's service, service, service. I can't be doing this, and it's a waste of my time,
All right. So when I was preparing for this interview, there was a question that I wanted to ask. And I told myself, no, Abena, don't do that. You're a woman. You know how it is. Because if a man comes on your program, you're not going to ask him how he balances family life, how he balances being a father and being in his work career.
You should ask them, though.
Right?
No, we should start asking those hard questions, right?
So I said, okay, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's there. And when you work as hard as some women do, and you get the kind of public beating that some people in public office get from people who may not be able to last a day in your shoes. Nice shoes, by the way. And then you have to go home and you have to deal with your children.
Yeah.
I told myself I'm not going to ask, but then you got a call just now about dinner.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to
And they have
ask.
another parent who's actively involved in their life. So I don't know why they call him me. But
So how's that?
so, you know,
In
that's an
20
interesting
years.
question. Mr. and Mrs. Corbin, Robert and Carol Corbin, and I had a conversation at at Amna Ali's funeral. And we think that I was the first cabinet minister or member of cabinet to have gotten pregnant and had children while a member of the cabinet. And I did that twice. I know for the PPP's time in office, I'm the only female minister who had babies while a cabinet member. And they thought that it would be the same for the PNC's time in office. And while we couldn't really nail it down to whether it was true for all 28 years the PNC was in office, the thinking that generally women have used to get to serve in these positions, and then if they were older, chances are I am the only female, well, the only minister
Yes, because the
who
men
give
can't get
birth
pregnant.
because they simply can't give birth.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you ask because in the period that I had children, male colleagues also had children, but their life was very different.
Right.
And so we shouldn't paint the picture. And I'll always remember this story. I once went to a meeting at Bushlot, and a girl was telling me afterwards, very depressed. I think she had a little bit of postpartum going on. And she was telling me how cruel her husband was to her, and that he was using the fact that, and he would tell her this, that why are you crying out? She was pregnant. She had just had a baby. Why are you crying out about being pregnant and not being able to do X or Y? And he used me as a reference. Look, she is pregnant and she's doing all of this. And that should never, ever happen. So we should never glorify unhealthy, unwholesome behavior. What he didn't know is when I went home, I had enormous help. I did not have to go home and rub clothes. Rub clothes is a country term.
Yes.
And cook and do dishes and, scrub my back step with a scraper or anything. I didn't have to do that.
Okay.
So what you saw was very different from. So he was telling her, and so we should never minimize what women go through. I have a cousin whose daughter in a first world country just died while giving birth. So she just had a C-section, which is supposed to be a far more controlled environment. The baby is fine and she's dead. She's going to be buried this weekend. So this is always a risk. Getting a baby is a risk. Full stop. Men don't have to go through that risk. How do you balance it? Because my children don't care. They're a little bit more aware now because they're older. When they're 5 and 6, they don't care what you do outside of the house. When you come home, they want all your attention. And I think they want the attention of a mother differently than they do from a father. And it's not just a minister. I think women working in the bank, teachers who stand on their feet and teach all day, people in insurance companies, maids, cleaners, pathway workers. They work and then they have to go home and still work.
And work. Yes.
And it's different, or maybe perhaps only in my house, but I don't think children rely on fathers. They love them. My children's father, so my husband is very well involved in, he could get them up, get them ready for school and all of that. But they still want the attention of a mother differently. And we're moving from a period where women never used to go to work. Not so long ago, 30, 40 years ago, the female workforce was significantly smaller. So you stayed home, but we haven't changed out some of those habits. It's not always easy, but it's gratifying because both are nice. Working outside the house and being able to do things that are changing out lives and communities and so on is really good. Going home and being a mother to children who are growing and have conversations about things that you didn't even realize they knew about. And yeah, that's also nice. It's not always easy, but I don't
Okay.
think it's hard for a minister alone. I think it's hard for women who work outside of the house. And I think it's hard for women, harder maybe, for women who work inside the home alone, because then that's all you
Oh
have.
my God, yes.
Um, so I think it's just it's a balance that we all have to find, and I don't want to diminish the value. We should find that balance because it has great value, and to be a good parent is really and a good person in the house. I mean, a good support person is very very valuable. I've seen children who had supportive parents be more focused and wholesome and so on, and children who do not. And so we should try.
Okay. And it works.
Well, I think you should also ask men that question.
Okay,
So
I
bring
will.
to their attention that when you go home,
Maybe no,
you
I
really
can't
don't
answer.
have
They
to
don't know
cook.
what
You
to
don't
do.
have to. These are
Do
not
you
things
cook?
you have to do. I am trying now because so I learned to cook during COVID, and I'm
5 years
trying.
ago?
Yes, we had no choice because they didn't want us interacting. There's a good website called Real Nice Guyana.
Okay.
He wouldn't just say, so if you say something to me like chunky the curry, I don't even know what that means, but he would take you through each step of the chunking. So you need to cut up garlic, you need 2 tablespoons of curry powder, 1.5 of jeera,
You
one and a
memorize
half of
it?
masala, to get this going. So he was very helpful. But the new thinking and learning and all the literature now is fresh, wholesome foods rather than the junk food and the preservative and stuff in those would be good. So yeah, trying to do
All right.
some of that.
I took enough of your time. Let's go through this quick thing because I know people tend to not only want to hear the heavy stuff, and you come with all the important things. So now we just want to have like a light moment. I'm gonna just say 5 things, and the first thing that comes to your mind, you're gonna do it. Huh? All right.
That's
So
dangerous, but let's go.
role model. Your role model. You can't think.
Oh, I
You
can't
just gotta,
think.
yeah, the first person that comes to your mind.
Yeah, perhaps my mother,
Okay. Shout out to Priya's mother. Your favorite book?
Anne of Green Gables,
Female powerhouse.
Hillary Clinton.
Nice. Quote, favorite quote?
If you're gonna do something, do it well. Anything worth doing is worth doing well.
By who? So it's just a variation of Nike. Just do it.
No, well, I think there's actually a quote: anything worth doing is worth doing well. I also, to thine own self be true, and
Oh, I
that's
love that one.
yeah, you have to be honest with yourself on different matters.
Charity of choice.
Working with young people,
Okay. Personal quality. Favorite personal quality.
that I forgive.
Okay.
I don't even remember why I get angry with some people sometimes.
And your favorite ministry thus far? Talk the
I
truth.
mean, this is only 6 weeks in, so I hope at the end of it all, I'll say this. I loved the work I did at Human Services because it was, really developmental work. But it doesn't matter.
It's a hard choice.
Yeah, education was a lot of massive, heavy lifting that happened. So I'd say my favorite thing was service in these ministries.
Okay, I wouldn't force you to answer, but you're looking very presidential these days. So
Those are, yeah,
No?
conversations that are had in the public that are very, very premature and might not. I think we always equate public service with wanting more. It doesn't always have to be. Like, people can actually be gratified by simply crafting a policy, implementing it, and watching it work. And just love that without wanting too much more.
Okay, I had my agenda. Is there anything that you wanted to say or speak about that I didn't bring up?
Well, no, I just want to say to every community that we all have challenges and issues, and you see a country that's growing, and you want to know when we're getting to you with whether it's street lights or a street or a boat or a farm to market road. And, we're trying to do so many things simultaneously that some of those could look like it's taking longer. But I want you to know you have in us a very, very responsive government, but also a very responsible government. It's very easy to do popular things that could end up harming the country and everyone in the country in the long run. So sometimes it's harder to be responsible and restrain yourself and do these things in an economically sustainable way so that everybody could benefit not only now but for a long time to come. And I ask you to know that about us, that we're responsive, but we're also very responsible. And every political party wants to stay in office or be in executive office. That's their aim. Doesn't matter what they tell you. And so we'll always be servants of the people because we know that's how we can make sure we're in a place where we're always able to serve.
Okay. Thank you very much, Minister Manickchand. There you have it, guys. Quite extensive interview with Minister Priya Manickchand, who's dedicated 20 years of her life thus far to public office. And we got a glimpse into her personal life and how she views and juggles being a very important person outside of the house and inside of the house. I'm Abena Rockcliffe. Thank you for tuning in.